Hey guys, it's Margaret, and we are here for our, what is this, fifth Chatterbooks? I think.
Fifth.
Fifth,
Yep.
fifth. Yay, we made
Yay.
it. So I'm here with Heather. Heather, say hey and tell them a little about yourself.
Hey, I'm Heather. I'm a part-time reseller and full-time book lover. And I feel really bad because I actually suggested this book, so I hope people enjoyed it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
And I live in Oregon, and I have 4 grown kids and a bunch of grandkids, and that's me.
awesome. So are
Yeah.
you guys ready for the holidays?
Uh, yeah, about as ready as we're gonna get. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I actually read this book before, so I was happy to, I was glad to do it again.
Right.
So I enjoyed it. So the book I guess I should tell everybody what book we read.
Yeah.
The book we read this month was called Still Life by Louise Penny, and I think she's got a series of them, right?
Right. Right.
Right. And it's Chief Inspector Gamache
Hmm.
is the and detective. So, and
Right.
it's now all of this one was set in it's like French Canada, Montreal. Are they all? Have you read some of the other ones?
I've read all of them.
Oh,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I just fell in love with her work, and so
yeah.
I went through the series.
It's pretty seamless for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And some are better than others. There's a couple I didn't care for, but this was her first one. Still Life is the first one, and that was for a
Yeah.
first book. It was really good.
And are they all set in that same area?
Yes. Yes. There's a couple that wound up being set in different settings. I forget what the name of it was, but one of them is set at a monastery, but it's still all French Canadian.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And let me just say before I go on, this book made me so hungry all the time.
I know. I know. It will get all the foodies out there. Yeah.
I mean, they're always sitting there eating brioche or having cheese. I mean, everything just sounds delicious. They're eating all the time, and they're in bakeries or bistros and delis and
Yeah, I know that. Well, that's maybe part of what caught me, what pulled me in.
Are they all like that?
Oh, yeah. Even the one that was set in the monastery, I think they went into to talk about the food and the simplicity of it and that sort of thing. I think that's her book, How the Light Gets In. I'm not positive, but yeah. Anyway, it's
But
all
I
about.
can see. Go on. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that she always inserts the food. Almost, it's just painted with words. It's just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your mouth is just watering. Mine was.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, if only I could cook food this good. That sounds this good. But maybe that's what like really draws you in because everybody can relate to good food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Okay, so basically the short synopsis without giving anything away, there is a murder in a small town called Three Pines?
Three
Right?
Pines.
Three Pines
Right.
is a murder, and they're trying to figure out who did it. I guess that's generally what happens. So yeah, there's a whole art exhibition going on, and it's really, really good.
Hmm.
All right, so I'm going to jump in. I pulled up just some questions. I thought, just the two of us, so we could just chat about it or answer some of the questions, whatever.
Sure. Yeah, and if any questions come up in the chat,
Oh, yes, and we've got Glenda in the chat. Hello.
Hi, Glenda.
Shows we have 2 viewers live.
Yay!
This was
Woo!
supposed to be last weekend, but things can't
Yeah,
happen. Oh, well, that's okay.
that's life.
Okay, so the first question asks, at the beginning of Still Life, we're told that violent death still surprised Chief Inspector Gamache. Why is it odd for a homicide detective, and how does it influence his work? What are his strengths and weaknesses?
Oh, wow. That's one of the things that drew me into this I mean, it was his character that kept me reading the series because her characters grow. And you see that in having worked in and around law enforcement my whole life. I know how vulnerable a lot of these people really are, the ones that don't become completely cynical.
Right.
And Gamache is not cynical. He's wise and kind. He has he's not hardened.
Right,
And,
yeah.
yeah. What did you think?
I agree. I mean, I loved all the scenes where it's just him sitting. It looks like he's just sitting there, but he's just watching everything unfold, and he's patient. He just waits, and there were a couple times when he would get irritated when one of the other inspectors would push forward or question or say something, break the silence, because he would wait in the silence to see what happens, to see how people react. And just that was like really, like, I bet he would be a like really calming person in real life.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things I loved about him or about her characters is that he's older. I mean, I don't know that they actually reveal his age in this book, but I'm guessing he's probably in his late 50s or maybe even early 60s. He's somewhere, that's the feeling I get, that he's about that age. And so he seems to have that middle age wisdom about him and experience, that oftentimes in our culture just gets poo-pawed,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so there's a character that's introduced, and her name is Agent Nicole, and she, has got a lot to prove, but, she's not doing very well with him because she's more like a social climber. She's not a team player, and he's trying to mold her sort of. Right.
Actually, that's one of the things I loved about this book is that he brings in, it's not like every other police procedural where the characters really carry the book, and she is really unlikable. I mean, and yet there's a part of her that you relate to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way, that she was relatable on some level? We've all made mistakes like that, where we're arrogant or we jump in too soon, or I know I did when I was young.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say it's like the mistake of youth, thinking this old fogey doesn't know what he's doing,
Right.
She's got so much to prove, So for sure.
Yeah.
Glenda said he was waiting for someone to mess up, when he would wait in the silence. The chat's a little behind, so I'll try to keep it up.
Oh, okay.
So the next question comment thing asks, the village of Three Pines is not on any map, and when Gamache and Agent Nicole first arrive, they see the inevitable paradox. An old stone mill beside a pond, mid-morning sun warming the field stones. Around the maples and birches and wild cherry trees held their fragile leaves like thousands of happy hands waving to them on arrival. And police cars, the snakes in Eden. Okay, so that's a quote from the book. Can you find, oh dear, I didn't prepare for this one. Can you find other echoes of paradise in Three Pines? And what role do snakes, real or metaphorical, play there? I should have previewed that question.
No. Well, they bring it up very early on when they talk about the Hadley house, and one of the characters, Peter, the artist, and his experience with his best friend Ben, and how the snakes are, have always been an evil symbol in our culture anyway. And that's a tough one, Margaret.
I know. I was like,
that's a tough one.
Preview that question first.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I know. I think you should send us the questions first. Anybody who's going to be on the panel.
I agree. And I think I did that last time, but
it's been busy.
Yes.
Holiday time.
Exactly. That's what next month, or the next book, it'll be December, January, and we'll meet end of January. I was like, I know, I'm not even going to try.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, other echoes of paradise in Three Pines. One, the talk of food was paradise.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they mean the biblical, like paradise of Eden, but yeah. Okay, so there are three main couples in the book: Clara and Peter, Olivier and Gabri, and Gamache and Renee Marie. How would you characterize each of these relationships? I'm going to preview the next question. Well, Clara and Peter, I didn't get their relationship,
Really?
I don't know. Maybe because of I don't know, especially towards the end when he was really putting a wall up, she was the victim. Her best friend was killed basically. And then she was almost killed. And then he puts this crazy wall up, So
yeah, I just thought he was a jerk, right? Yeah. Did you feel that way about it? I mean, I just thought, what a jerk, you know?
Yeah. So that was a tough one. Olivia and Gabri, they were a great couple.
Yeah, they were fabulous. And I liked, I mean, if you read the series, have you read any of the rest? Oh, you haven't. If you read the series, you'll see the Peter and Clara thing. You'll see that grow, expand. It changes. I won't give any spoilers, but it actually
there's
develops.
more in Three Pines. Some of the other books are also set in Three Pines.
They're all set there, like I said, except for the one that's set in the monastery. Yeah, and sometimes, I was just gonna say sometimes they go into Montreal City, but not often. Yeah.
Glenda says she didn't like Claire. Let's say why you didn't like Claire.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, she was a little scatterbrained, but I don't know. Let us know, Glenda, in the chat.
Yeah, tell us.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to look at this was really well. I mean, it was really knotted up well. You know what I mean? There were so many people that you thought might have done it that, and it was done with a bow. We'll just say that, bow and arrow. And so many different people with their bows and their arrows, and it was I don't know.
It was hard to tell. I mean, it was just really it was a well-woven story where it made it, and I'm really good at figuring out usually early on who it was,
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I really didn't until almost the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but she drops hints. If you go back and you look over, it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One thing that did bother me the first time around and the second time around was that when they're revealing at the end, like, all the hints that had been dropped, and that what was her name? Jane was the one that was killed, right?
Jane Neal.
Jane. So that Jane had been hinting to Ben. Sorry, spoilers on who did it. She'd been hinting to him about her painting, and there was a surprise for you in it, and this and that. Right. And then at the end they say, and then we checked the phone records, and the last person that she had, got a call from before she left was his number. I was like, you mean we could have known this whole time? Isn't that one of the first things they do? Check the phone records.
Right. Yeah. That was a little loose. That was a little loose. But I always give an author on their first book, I'm always trying to be kind about that, because it's like, ooh, that's not.
But then we wouldn't have had the story. That's the thing.
Right. Like, exactly.
All 2 pages in, done.
Right. And did you listen to it on audio?
I did. Mm-hmm.
So you heard Ralph Cosham, the narrator.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was wonderful.
He was.
I mean, yeah.
It was really good. Glenda says she was intrigued about her house, Jane's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you read the story, Jane lived in a house in the town, and she only let people into her kitchen.
Yeah.
Even her closest friends never went past the kitchen and mudroom in her house. And nobody knew why. And then the night or the day that she died, or the night before she died, she had invited people, all over to come have dinner or something in the dining or the living room or something like that.
Right. So she was basically, I thought that was really symbolic. She was opening her whole life to everybody, and she was an elderly lady. She was 70 or 72.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say elderly from where I said, but yeah, that's like 15 years from now. Anyway, so she opens her whole life to people, and we should preface that there was a painting. She did a painting called Fair Day, which she was submitting to I had to look this up. It starts with a V. It's a French word for a showing. Do you remember that? I couldn't.
Yeah, it's art. I mean, I remember it being called Art Williamsburg, and it was like a.
Right.
their town or local area, they were having a
vicinage or something like that.
Yeah, people had to submit paintings, and then a panel would choose the ones that would go into the show or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And hers was selected, and this was a big deal. And the painting is really one of the key things.
Oh,
in the whole. And then they introduced that at the very beginning, but you don't get it till towards the end. She plays that one out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then her art is like, what do they? It looked like cave drawings, except everybody was recognizable.
Right.
So
yeah, there were lots of people in it with faces and of all the townspeople.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see, like, I want to see, because there's a movie. I haven't seen the movie yet, so maybe they'll have gone to the author and say, "Is this what it's supposed to look like?"
Right. I have to see the movie now.
Yeah, I was looking up questions and found that. So when they go into her house, that's what's on her walls. Eventually, you'll find that out.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the paintings of people in the town and in her style? So
right.
That was wild. Okay. So it says there's a huge clue to the murder early in the book when Jane gives Ben this meaningful look and quotes W.H. Auden, "Even evil is unspectacular and always human and shares our bed and eats at our own table." Why is it so easy to overlook that clue at the time, and what impact does it have when it's quoted again in the last chapter? I think there were so many clues. That's the thing.
Uh-huh.
There were so many little. I mean, honestly, who did you think did it?
I actually thought it was going to be Peter.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was Peter. And the first time I read it, of course, this is the second time that I read it, but and I knew who, but I couldn't remember why, because it's been a while since I read it. So
I fell for the obvious. I thought it was the niece. What was the niece's name?
Oh, Yolanda.
I thought it was either, or maybe Yolanda's husband did it and didn't tell her.
Right.
Because she was a nightmare, that woman.
Right.
I mean, these characters really,
they're very quirky, and throughout her entire works, they're all like that, and she develops them. You get to know more about them. You get to know, they're not one-dimensional at all.
And I think also like knowing oh, I kind of know somebody like that. With a lot of the characters.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, that kind of reminds me of so-and-so.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Glenda said she thought it was Peter or Claire that did it. Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I could see Peter because he was, I don't know.
Unlikable.
Yeah, there was something about him. So this is a kind of, I guess, maybe a clue for one of the books coming up, because I haven't read them. Gamache says, he tells Gabri and Oliver that they weren't even on the radar. He says, "You're not the types to do murder. I wish I could say the same for everyone here." So it kind of like he's already seeing people that he thinks might do murder in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's a clue.
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. There's a book that where those two are at the forefront.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I love their place, because they run a B&B, and they have and then everything there is for sale. So all of the furniture and teacups and everything.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the reseller thing,
Yeah. All the antiques and it's so cool. It's so cool. Okay, so I don't have a ton of other questions. There is I guess I want to know more about the culture of the French. I mean, I can't remember what the word is that he called them, but whenever there were British Canadians, or Anglais, he always said, "Oh, that's such an Anglais thing," rather than the French Canadians wouldn't behave that way or think that way or do that way.
Right.
So I'd like to know.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'd like to know more about that kind of culture, that kind of. Why wouldn't they? What's
the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been to France?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
No.
It's similar. I mean, I know that there's a difference between Quebec, French and French Canadians and France French people, but there's also similarity in that they tend to be really quirky in their. We're just different. Americans are different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a different culture, and
it's like Louisiana. I mean, I know there's like a whole French. It's more Cajun French, but it's like a whole nother world. I don't know if you've been to Louisiana.
No, I haven't.
I mean, it's like another country, I mean, just the whole, and I love Louisiana. They're my neighbors, so.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, it's just a whole, I don't know, just a whole different way of life, different way of thinking. So maybe it's sort of like that, where they don't prioritize the same kinds of things generally. So, yeah. Glenda says, yeah, they hate each other.
Oh, the Louisianans or the French and
the French Canadians, and the Quebec wanted to leave Canada. I remember that. I remember when they were a while back, right? They tried to leave Canada. They're probably always trying to leave Canada.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Isn't Glenda from Canada? Isn't she Canadian?
Oh, yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Why aren't you on this panel?
Where are you, Glenda? Come on.
You should be here. Nellie says, made it. We might be wrapping up soon because, let me see. I don't know how long we've been at it, but I've just kind of gone through some of the questions. Was there, there are other things you wanted to talk about the book or?
Well, I was going to ask you which of the characters, I mean, they're all so standalone. You know what I mean? They're also, even in a first book, they're developed. You're hooked into who they are. The two that run the B&B, they're very interesting. The Ruth Zardo, the poet. Yeah. I mean, every one of these folks has an element of artistic, something artistic to them, which I found really interesting.
Yeah. And Myrna, who's the only African American in town,
right?
African American, but running the bookstore, and it was just, I don't know. I know there's a lot more to talk about, but I feel like I'm so unprepared. I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay. We enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the main thing is, I don't know. And I loved the scene when it's sort of not like the ritual that they do where everybody brings an object and ties it to the spirit stick or something. That they put in the ground where she was found murdered.
Yeah.
And everybody ties something onto this stick to represent, sort of like a closure or something, that was really interesting.
Right. Yeah. I'd never seen that. It almost feels like it came from Native American culture. Right. So she brings bits and pieces from, many cultures into her books, and you'll see that if you read any more of hers. Yeah. And like I said, her characters just develop. It's just amazing. I don't want to talk about any of the what's to come, but man, it's pretty incredible. For being as what's the word I want to use? There's a lot of it that's not real to life. There's enough of it that's not real life to spark the imagination, but there's enough of it that is real. Right. In the police procedural, dry, down to earth stuff. What did you think of the other two inspectors? Because those characters really develop in the later on.
So one of them is Jean-Guy, right?
Yeah, Jean-Guy, yeah.
And then I don't remember the other one. Some of them, pardon?
I was going to say Lacoste.
Lacoste. They sort of started. It was hard for me to keep them separated in my brain. I guess in this book, maybe in future books, I'll be able to discern their characters a little more. Right.
Did anything about the end disappoint you?
I mean, what I said about the phone call thing.
Yeah.
That, I mean, and then just getting irritated with Peter, really just, it was almost as if it really brought out his true character more, you know. So, yeah, he was a bit of a disappointment at the end.
Yeah.
But that's just who he was. I mean, I guess that doesn't disappoint me, but it just, you know, makes me wonder what's going to happen with him in the future.
I love how she plays on just the weak human emotions that I think all of us have, like jealousy and just pettiness and things like that we all have. Yeah. But you know, we keep it under wraps. You know, we keep most of us.
Yeah. Well, and I did notice that, like, too, Gamache and Clara, when these emotions would come up, they recognized them and were ashamed of themselves, you know.
There's an awareness,
yeah, which I don't think that is always true in real people. You know?
They
just go with it, you know.
Right.
They don't care, like, this is surprising me that I'm feeling this way, you know.
Right.
Sometimes maybe, but I think a lot of times people are not that aware.
Yeah.
So.
And Louise Penny has she's actually my age. We were born the same year. Ralph Cosham, the narrator, I think I told you this. He just died this last year.
Oh.
So he did all but the very last book of hers. If you listen to audiobooks,
I did.
And the fellow who did the last book was one of the guys who was in Downton Abbey. If you followed that show at all, did you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, he played the last one is done by the guy who almost married Edith and walked away from the altar.
Oh yeah.
But oh man, I was so disappointed in his reading. It just wasn't. It was wrong. It just. And
he's a good narrator. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she lost her husband of like 40 years. Her husband Michael, who was a psychiatrist, I think, or psychologist, one of the two. Anyway, he passed away just a few months ago. So it's kind of sad, you know. You realize that she brings her own life probably into her books. So.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And I love how she drops, you know. I love how she drops F-bombs every once in a while, and you just go, "Whoa, where did that come from?" She has a really neat sense of humor that I really enjoyed anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it was. And I didn't realize that was her first book. I just thought, you know, maybe she had written some other books, but for her first book, it was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, the characters were just really, you know, they weren't very shallow. There was a lot. There was a lot going on, you know.
Yeah.
More than we even discussed, like even with like people's children and. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, that's it. I thought the end with the whole snake thing and all that kind of went to me that felt like over the top. Like I don't know. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I see the symbolism in it, but I thought it was kind of, you know, like in movies, how they have way too long of a shootout scene at the end.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of how that felt to me.
I mean, at the end was very much trying to tie everything up and explain all the other. Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Right. Well, I promise next time to be better prepared. Last weekend was nuts, and then today, Anyway, but next time I will for sure be more prepared. I have a feeling we'll have a pretty good panel. I'm not sure who yet, but the book is Scandalous Women.
Oh, good. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and I'm going to be reading it for my neighborhood girls have a book club, so we're reading it there as well. So that'll be really good.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And I put the link for it down in the description box below if anyone's interested that is watching. Hey, Angie, we're just wrapping up.
Hi, Angie.
But I recommend Still Life. It was really good. Second time around even. There was so much complexity to the story that it felt, I didn't remember, you know. It was like reading it anew. Exactly. There were things that would pop up. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, yeah. So.
Right.
Really good. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
It was good. Go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, thank you for the rosary. By the way, it's back with the little statue. Do you remember that?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that was me.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. Again, apologies for forgetting.
No, oh, Pusha, busy woman. I don't know how you do it with children and everything. Yeah.
They're back there. I'm like guarding the screen.
Stay out.
Yeah. They keep sneaking by. Anyway, okay.
Okay.
Thanks everybody, and
Thank you.
next
Okay.
time. Bye.
Bye.